You walk into a room where everyone is laughing. You don't know why. You didn't hear the joke, nobody has told you anything yet, and you're already smiling. Not politely, actually smiling. Something in your chest has already lifted before a single word reached you. Now flip it. You walk into a room where two people have just had a fight. Nobody says a word. Nobody has to. The air is wrong, and your stomach knows it 3 seconds before your brain catches up. Everyone has felt a version of this. But for some people, it isn't a moment. It's the entire texture of being alive. Every room, every conversation, every day. If that's you, you've probably been told your whole life that you're too sensitive, that you take things too personally, that you should learn not to let it get to you. Here's what nobody told you. It isn't a personality flaw, and you're not imagining it. There's a real mechanism underneath it, and when you understand how it actually works, it explains almost everything about your life, including the exhaustion. Let's start by throwing out the version of this you've heard online. The internet has a word for you, empath. And the way it usually gets described, you're basically a human radar. You scan people, you read them, you see straight through them. It's framed like a superpower, something you do to other people from the outside. 2 problems with that. First, empath isn't a real clinical term. You won't find it in any diagnostic manual. There's no test for it, no doctor who can confirm it. But second, and this is the part that actually matters, the radar idea has it completely backwards. You are not scanning them. You're not reading their face and running calculations. What's really happening is stranger, and honestly, a lot more intimate than that. Their state gets inside you, and then you read yourself. You don't detect other people's feelings. You borrow them, and then you notice what's now in your own body. Stay with me, because once you see this mechanism, you can't unsee it. First, let's make sure we're talking about you. You can tell someone's mood from the first 2 words of a text message, not the content, the rhythm of it. You've walked out of a room and physically felt lighter, like something was sitting on your shoulders in there. You can't watch someone be humiliated on screen, not don't enjoy it, genuinely cannot sit through it. You have to leave the room. You've had a completely fine day, spent an hour with someone who's struggling, and gone home carrying something heavy that isn't yours and won't come off. And when someone says, "I'm fine," and isn't, you know instantly. And then you spend the next hour arguing with yourself about whether you're allowed to have noticed. If most of those landed, you've been running this your whole life. Nobody ever explained it to you, so let's do that. There's a phenomenon researchers have been studying for decades. A psychologist named Elaine Hatfield gave it a name that sounds almost too simple: emotional contagion. Here's the finding. When you look at another person's face, your own facial muscles begin to copy it. Not deliberately, not visibly, most of the time. In milliseconds, far faster than any conscious decision. Your face makes a faint version of the expression you're looking at, and then something remarkable happens. Your brain reads your own face and body, and uses that as information about how you feel. So the sequence isn't what everyone assumes. It's not, "They're sad. I understand they're sad. I feel sympathy." It's, "They're sad." My body quietly copies it. I feel a small version of sad. Oh, they're sad. The understanding arrives after the feeling, not before it. Think of a tuning fork. Strike 1, and another one across the room starts humming on its own. It didn't hear anything. It didn't decide anything. It just happens to be the same shape, so it vibrates with what's already in the air. That's the closest thing to what you actually are. Not a radar, scanning from a safe distance. A tuning fork, resonating, whether you ask to or not. And here's where it gets genuinely surprising. If you feel other people by feeling your own body, then the whole thing depends on how well you can read yourself. That's exactly what researchers have found. There's a quiet sense most people never think about, the ability to notice what's happening inside your own body, your heartbeat, the tightness in your chest, the pit in your stomach. Scientists call it interoception, your sense of your own interior. And people who are better at noticing their own internal signals also tend to be better at recognizing emotion in others. Read that again because it rewires the whole idea. Your ability to understand someone else's sadness grows from the same root as your ability to notice your own stomach dropping. It's one sense, one instrument, just pointed in 2 directions. You were never given a special channel to other people. You were given a very loud channel to yourself, and other people keep coming through on it, which also means the thing you've been calling a gift for reading people is actually something much simpler and much more human. You're not perceptive about them. You're just very, very hard to lie to about how something feels. Okay, now the part nobody puts in the inspirational posts. If your body runs a small copy of every emotion in the room, then you're not resting when you're with people. You're working, quietly, constantly. end without noticing. That's why you can spend an afternoon where objectively nothing happened. No conflict, no crisis, no bad news. And come home like you did manual labor. And you can't explain it to anyone because there's nothing to point at. What are you tired from? Nothing. Everything. And there's a second, sneakier cost. When a feeling shows up in your body, it doesn't come with a label saying where it came from. Your body doesn't stamp it, this one's yours or this one's borrowed. It's just a feeling in you now. So you spend a lot of your life quietly confused. Am I actually upset, or did I walk in on someone else being upset? Do I want to leave, or is he uncomfortable and I picked it up? You've been told you're too emotional. You're not. You're just running more traffic than the person who told you that on the same size road. There's related research here worth knowing about. Psychologist Elaine Aron studies what she calls sensory processing sensitivity. Roughly 15 to 20% of people have nervous systems that process input more deeply and reach overload sooner. It's a normal variation, not a disorder. Some nervous systems just come with the volume set higher. And here's the thing. In some places, none of this is treated as unusual at all. In Japan, there's an everyday expression, kuki wo yomu, literally reading the air, sensing the unspoken mood of a room and adjusting to it. But notice what it's not. It isn't described as a gift or a rare sensitivity or a personality type. It's a basic social skill, something a functioning adult is simply expected to be able to do. There's even a mild insult for someone who can't, the person who can't read the air. So the exact ability the English-speaking internet packages as a mystical superpower, another culture files under minimum manners. Which should tell you something. This was never a paranormal talent. It's a human capacity, turned up higher in some people than others. And it only looks exotic in a culture that stopped noticing it. Now, an honest moment, because there's a line here that matters, and it's easy to miss from the inside. There's a difference between feeling with someone and dissolving into them. Researchers who study this, Tanya Singer's work is the well-known example, draw a distinction between two things we usually lump together. There's the raw version, where you absorb someone's pain and it becomes your pain. And there's care, where you're fully aware of what they're going through, you're moved by it, and you stay a separate person while you help. The interesting finding is what each one does to you over time. The absorbing kind burns people out. It's a big part of why nurses, therapists, and caregivers hit a wall. The caring kind doesn't. Same compassion, completely different cost. So here's the honest self-check. 1. When someone I love is in pain, can I stay useful? Or do I go under with them? Feeling with someone leaves you able to act. Dissolving leaves two people who need help. 2. When I say yes to something, am I choosing it, or am I just relieving my own discomfort at someone else's disappointment? That second one isn't kindness. It's escape, dressed as kindness. 3. Do I know what I feel today, separately from everyone I've been near? If that question is genuinely hard to answer, that's the signal. None of this makes you broken. But if most of your emotional life is other people's weather, that's worth being honest with yourself about, and worth talking through with someone you trust. Which points to something that surprises most people. The advice you've always been handed is put up better walls, stop letting it in, toughen up. And it never works because you can't decide not to resonate. The tuning fork doesn't get a vote. But remember what the mechanism actually was. You read other people by reading your own body, so the skill isn't blocking them out. It's knowing your own baseline well enough to notice when something in you isn't yours. That's it. That's the whole thing. Not a thicker wall, a clearer signal. Pause before you walk into a room and check what you were carrying before you got there. Then, on the way out, check again, not to shut anything down, just so that when the heaviness arrives, you can recognize it. That showed up when I sat down with her. That one's on loan. You're allowed to feel it. Borrowed feelings are still real, but something changes when you know whose they are. It stops being your whole weather and becomes information. So here's what nobody ever told you. You were never a radar watching everyone from behind glass. You're something much less impressive and much more remarkable than that. A person whose body keeps making room for other people, automatically, all day long, without being asked. Every time you walked out of a room heavier than you walked in. That wasn't weakness, and it wasn't drama. That was someone else's day, briefly living inside you because you're built in a way that lets that happen. It costs you something. It's supposed to. That's not a malfunction. That's the price of being reachable. So the next time someone tells you that you're too sensitive, you have options. You can explain emotional contagion, interoception, and why your body finds out before your mind does. Or you can just say, I'm not taking it personally, I'm taking it physically, and watch them realize they've never once thought about it that way. If this just explains something you've been carrying since childhood, don't scroll yet. The video on your screen right now goes into what happens when this ability gets used against you, how highly empathic people end up in relationships that quietly drain them, and the early signal almost everyone misses. I'll see you there.